Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another episode of How About Them Celtics. Sam and I are here recording on Friday, November 8th, after the Celtics overtime win over the Brooklyn Nets. 108-104 win for Boston. Weird game, very slow start. Nets started off on a 9-0 run. Timeout from Joe Mazzulla just 2 minutes into the game at the 10-minute mark. Then it was a 16-2 run. And then from there, the Celtics spent the entire night battling all the way back, eventually got it to overtime. Where they were able to secure the win over a Nets team that, I mean, we've been saying it all year. They're a little bit better than a lot of people expected them to be, and they showed that. But Celtics walked away with the win, bounced back after a loss to the Warriors, and are now 8-2 on the season.
Yeah, it was a big earn my respect game from the Brooklyn Nets. Hats off to them. They played hard. Cam Thomas made some incredible shots. Really, the shot making from a lot of those guys was really good. Cam Johnson had himself a pretty good game too. But from the Celtics standpoint, there were a few things that stood out. I thought that they were getting outplayed in terms of effort in the first half. It really felt like that. Brooklyn, you mentioned it, has made an identity for themselves on playing hard, playing good defense. I think coming into the game, what was it? They're the best 3-point defending team in the NBA coming into today. So it was an interesting matchup with the Celtics. I could be wrong in that. I think they're pretty good at it. But they hustled the entire game. They were diving on the floor for loose balls in the first half. There were 2 tie-ups that led to jump balls, and it was just because they were in there trying to make everything difficult for the Celtics. There are a few things that really caught my attention in terms of from the Celtics, like positive things. I thought Tatum showed a really great poise tonight as a leader. In the third quarter of this game, things weren't going great. Like, it was about the same as it had been the first half. Celtics finished the first half well, but they were starting to fall behind again. He takes it upon himself to start getting steals, getting out in transition, and forcing the issue, getting out on the fast break and changing the way the Celtics are getting their points. And something from that point on clicked within the team where they played better team ball. The energy was better. The energy in the arena got better. And credit to him for that, because he's usually not somebody you see out there being, I don't want to say vocal leader, but like he was kind of a vocal leader today with his actions and also like screaming and pumping up the crowd.
Yeah, Tatum picked up the pace. I thought he started off pretty rough, especially defensively. He just kind of looked out of sorts, biting at some pump fakes and stuff like that. And outside of a red-hot stretch from the corner, really couldn't find anything. I remember he made his first 5 3-point shots before making a single 2. So he ended up making 6 of them, so he turned it on in that aspect at the end of the game. But it was a weird game. Finished it, with 33, 9, and 6. So he still put together the pieces of a good game. Ironically, I think our StreamYard would have won/pushed if it actually placed tonight, but it didn't go through on the website. I'd have to go check, but I think our prize picks. Did I say StreamYard or prize picks?
You said StreamYard.
I think our prize picks might have hit. Yeah, I was like looking at the logo. Let me see. What was the final prize picks? Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. Let me see.
We are
Maybe
the biggest example of never bet parlays.
We needed Tatum 3 more than 43.5 points, rebounds, assists. He did that. We need Derek White 9 rebounds plus assists, so that pushed, but still, we would have gotten something. We needed Pritchard. Okay, no, Pritchard. We needed 5 3, so only had 3, so it wouldn't have. So we're fine. Didn't go through, but anyways, yeah, Tatum was good. Nice close to the game, defensively and offensively. He really turned it around, really picked up the pace. So that was impressive. I thought Pritchard was solid, made some shots. Jrue Holiday was probably the other big game. 8 of 10 from 2, didn't make his threes, but in the first quarter, like I mentioned, Nets got off to a 16-2 run to start the game, 9-0. Other than that, Jrue Holiday scored the first 7 points of the game for the Celtics, all on like post-ups, interior looks. Kind of like forced the issue. Did it again at the start of the fourth quarter, which was impressive. So he came up big, in big spots for Boston.
Yeah, Holiday is my story from this game. I really was impressed with the way that he was used in particular. Fourth quarter comes around, massive spot for the Celtics. They are down 2 going into the fourth. They end up coming out, tying it with a Holiday bucket. He goes on to be responsible for Boston's first 6 baskets of the fourth quarter. That is until the first 8 minutes have elapsed. He has been scoring or assisting on all of the baskets. he was given the responsibility of being the guy with Jordan Walsh, Peyton Pritchard, a cold Sam Hauser, and Neemias Queta out there with him while Tatum and Derek White caught their breath on the bench. That's not a responsibility Joe Mazzulla is giving just to anybody. And Joe, he went on after the game and called him a Swiss Army knife and just kind of said he's ready for the moment in a very roundabout way, like he is. And we've seen him do that ever since he joined the Celtics. As a Celtic, Holiday only averages like 10 shots a game. For his career, he hasn't taken that few shot attempts per game since being a rookie in Philly. The things they ask him to do here are so far different than what he was doing in New Orleans and what he was doing with Milwaukee before he was traded to the Celtics. And he is completely comfortable doing the little things and then also being able to time travel, get in the time machine and go back and just be like, yeah, all right, you want me to score and set my teammates up? Yeah, I'm ready. I'll give you 9 and 4 in the fourth quarter and overtime alone. Not bad from Jrue Holiday. Very impressive.
Yeah, he was huge on a night they needed him to. And this was one of the games I feel like you could feel not having Jaylen Brown, not having Porzingis, not having even Luke Cornett when Xavier Tillman failed miserably to start the game. Joe Mazzulla rolled out Tillman in the starting lineup, played 5 minutes, 52 seconds, shot 0 of 3 on threes, passed up another open three, and was in minus 14. It looks like the confidence has evaporated from his body. It looks like he is completely unsure of what to do at all times. He is overthinking every decision he makes, even on the defensive end. I stand on he is a good player, but he is just like he bought beachfront property in his own head right now, and it's tough.
Yeah, very tough. Especially considering this start seemed like a clear effort to get him going, to get him confident again against a team that, like, Brooklyn has gotten off to a better start than we all expected them to get. But on paper, they are not that good of a team. This was an opportunity for him to go out there, be comfortable in the action. I mean, the first play of the game, they ran a play to get him an open three, and it just didn't fall. And he got a couple attempts after that, and he really just looks like he's in his own head. That's the worst place you can be as a basketball player who is not going to have much room for error. And it doesn't help him that both Cornette, who is just always vanilla ice cream solid, and then Neemias Queta have both played really well in recent games. Tillman's got his work cut out for him, man. I'm not rooting against him. I think he has value. I think he has things to contribute. He adds a different layer to Boston's backup big rotation than these other two guys do. But right now, you're not getting any of it. The threes aren't there. The confidence isn't there. He's not even really defending as well as we've seen him in the past. It's a little concerning at this point.
Yeah, it's just not been a season so far. I don't know. We'll have to see where it goes from there. Derek White, pretty quiet game, made some weird mistakes. I think at the end of the second or third quarter, he had like left a guy open on a back cut, pushed Zaire Williams before an inbound play, and didn't get called. And missed a pass. But he was fine. It just was one of those meh Derek White games outside of his 3 blocks, one of which was the craziest thing I've ever seen on Dennis Schroeder late in the game, which was fun to see. Pritchard was solid too, 20 points off the bench, continuing to be a big score for them. And then we talked about Jrue as well, just to wrap up the cards.
That Derek block was crazy. Watching it from the 9th floor, I was so certain that it was going to be a goaltend. Clearly wasn't. Just a monster, like, go gadget arms type block where it looked like he was out of the play. Big moment for him to step in and be like, yeah, I got pissed off. Yeah, I looked like I was a little in my head rattled, but I'm back. It wasn't the Derek White type play we had been used to seeing, especially 3-point shooting wise. Him and Holiday combined for just 1 of 10. That's rough. But testament to those guys, to tie it all together, they both affected the game in multiple ways. Derek White did a good job of distributing tonight. 6 assists, not bad. 14 points, still a solid scoring night. It's not quite the 20-ish that he was averaging. I'm happy to see him not really getting thrown off by missing threes, still being aggressive, like 1 of 6 from 3. That makes him 4 of 5 from within the arc. Pretty good from Derek.
Yeah, he found ways to do Derek White things, which is good at the end of the day. He played 42 minutes as well, team high, which is crazy. Neemias Queta again, three points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 blocks, only 2 fouls, and one of the assists was a very, very nice pass to the corner to find Sam Hauser. Very clear that the Celtics staff spoke to him and said, please pass the ball out of the post. Please stop looking for your shot. Because even though, like, yes, he made a good pass, he only took 2 shots in this game, too. So it feels like a very obvious directive that he was given. And he looked great again. Just awesome.
It was so funny when we were up there on the 9th floor and we watched him get an offensive rebound that he probably could have went right up and dunked. And he took his time to look out and look at all the options, so much so that he had to firmly plant his pivot foot so he wouldn't travel. And we were just like, man, they definitely gave him a firm talking to. That or he watched our video. We were like showing Sam Hauser with his head in his hands because he was so wide open. I'm happy. I mean, Nimi continues to be solid. He's not quite at the same level that he was the other day, but 10 boards, 9 of them actually on defense is pretty impressive from him, along with 3 blocks. Good numbers from him off the bench, doing pretty much the small things that he's going to be asked to do in his role. And anything extra that you get from him is going to be a cherry on top. Even foul-wise, he only had 2 fouls in this game in 26 minutes. So that has sort of alleviated itself as a problem. He did get blown by Dennis Schroeder on a possession where we were like, watch this perimeter defense. He just stayed with Steph for a game and then like immediately blown by. Overall, I mean, Nimi, he's doing great at what he's going to be expected to do.
Yeah, no, I mean, Kate has been awesome this year, and I wasn't as high on him coming into the season, and he's proven me wrong. He's played a phenomenal role for this team, and they bet on him with that 3-year contract, non-guaranteed, and it looks like it's paying off. Sam Hauser as well, just as ice cold as you can possibly be, ice cold from 3, but made a big one in the last few minutes, which was huge. Al Horford also quietly had 10 boards in this game, but just a solid game. A very weird game offensively. Celtics couldn't find anything. One of their worst 3-point shooting performances of the season. Their season low up to this point was 13 makes, and they made 14 in this one, so barely eked it out. It took overtime to do it. Just a really rough night. From behind the arc, the Nets also took 10 more shots than the Celtics did in this game. Celtics got out offensive rebounded 12-4, so not a great margin. Couple tough breaks in there. Also, just a couple that were ripped literally from their hands, which is not ideal. But the Nets are solid, man. Cam Thomas can score the ball. He can score the ball.
Some of these shots that this dude was making tonight, man. The two of us were looking down from the 9th floor being like, what if? He was making pump fake defender jumps. He's off balance, goes up on the second double clutch and makes the shot type shots. The one he got at the end of the game with Tatum after Tatum read it, credit to Tatum for knowing exactly what was coming. But the way he was able to still get the shot off, I was like, this might go in. Turned out not to even be close. But he was really scoring on all 3 levels. He was getting to the basket really well. He's so shifty off the dribble. The Nets have a good one in him. Jordi Fernandez told us before the game, more or less, that his goal is to get this man to pass the ball. Just 1 assist for Cam Thomas today. I don't think we have the data in front of us yet from NBA.com that says how many potential assists he had, which is also something that Fernandez mentioned. They usually aim for 8 for him each game. If they get him to play the right way, he could be a piece for them at some point. I mean, did you notice him getting overly targeted on defense? I noticed a couple at the end of the game where they were working to get him switched onto Tatum, but it didn't feel like it was something the Celtics were truly exploiting.
They went at him, a decent amount. I don't know how much, but they definitely went at him. I'm telling you now, not getting 8 potential assists in this game. Maybe I'm wrong. Did not look like he got there. Dennis Schroeder looked really good in this game. He didn't shoot particularly well, but 23-3. It's very, very, very clear that their game plan, the Nets being he is running the offense. This is the Dennis Schroeder show. We're running around him, and if we're not running around him, Cam Thomas is shooting that motherfucker. So that's what that looked like. Cam Thomas was in early pain in terms of made some threes, and then he cooled off. Ben Simmons actually looked pretty good in this game overall. 8 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists. Nice round stat line. That said, did get bullied by the Celtics a little bit, had 3 turnovers, and they were all very funny. Outside of that, I don't know how much else there is to discuss from this game. It was a weird game. Started off ugly, ended ugly. Got the job done. We can talk about the last couple minutes if we want. The last few plays. Joe Mazzulla drew up. I guess it's a play they have run a lot in the past where Tatum starts in the backcourt, runs full steam to the hoop, and gets a dunk. And then the last play, they just ran a Tatum step back. I don't get it. And everyone's going to blame Tatum. And does he deserve some of the blame? Sure. Why is that the play? Like, why is that the call? Like, I think Joe Mazzulla deserves equal amount, if not more, for why is the game plan, why is the call with 10 X amount of seconds left for a last second shot to just let Tatum take a step back? Like, at the very least, have him work inside, get him switched onto a smaller defender. And if they don't switch, then pass it. Like, do something other than let's play isolation. Like, it just, I don't get it. Like, it doesn't like upset me or make me mad. Like, I truly don't understand why the decision is made.
Jack told me exactly what was going to happen before it happened. He was like, Tatum step back coming. And sure as shit, there it was. And you bet it missed. It's just not a good shot at that part of the game. I would be curious, now that you mention it, had it been Celtics down 1, did they do something different? Where they probably felt like they were playing with house money at that point. They didn't necessarily need to end the game right there. They just figured safest bet is put it in Tatum's hands so nothing fluky, crazy, turnover-y happens. And I guess
that is actually a good point.
Overtime. You know what I mean? Like, I hate it as much as the next guy, man. I despise the step back in that situation.
It is a good point to say, like, if we want to minimize stuff that could go wrong, play isolation. Like, there is a truth to that. It's just ugly. It just looks really bad when it ends. But I don't know. I'd rather them run something. I think they're good enough to trust that they won't turn it over, won't make a mistake. Like, they're good enough to just, they could do it. But I don't got anything else. You got anything else from this game?
It was fun to be in an overtime game. To see them win in overtime was good. I, off the top of my head, don't think the late game execution was bad. I think the Tatum sprint play was pretty good. So that's a step in the right direction compared to the way we would feel about it last year. Didn't feel like it was the greatest on Wednesday. I thought the offense was okay on Wednesday. They just couldn't get a stop for their lives. They were a little bit fortunate to not play against the Warriors today. I think if you took today's performance and you put it on Wednesday, they would still lose. But it was nice to see them pull it out in a close one, especially with the opportunity to drop a second close game in the row, looking them right in the face, where we all could have been like, oh, man, these guys can't play in a close game. So good for them. They prevented that from happening.
Yeah, I think what we're learning, / maybe learned it a little bit last year, is if the Celtics make even an average number of their threes, they will win the game. And if they don't, it will be a close game that they will have to battle to win. And I think those are just the two outcomes. Like, and on the rare occasion that they get blown out, it is just the other team is hot and the first thing happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that is dependent on how it goes. It is, if the Celtics are making their threes, and this isn't even a, like, they need to take less threes, stop being dependent on that. Like, no, they get phenomenal open looks. Like, it's just a matter of, are they going in? And if they're going in at a normal rate, they will win the game. If they are not going in at a normal rate, it will look like tonight and against the Warriors. And if they, what was the last thing? Oh, if the other team is playing really well and they aren't making their threes, that's how a blowout happens. And I suppose if the other team is really hot, actually, no, if the other team is really hot and the Celtics are also really hot from three, I still think the Celtics are going to win that game. So I think how the game looks depends on the threes. That's not to say they can't win without the three, because they can. It is just they're going to have to grind if the threes are bad. And for what it's worth, I think these two games are the exception, not the norm, based on the way we've seen this team shoot.
I'm just thinking about Jayson Tatum being like, you can't switch up the game plan. Like, it's just like life, where you can't change the kind of person you are, even when things are going bad, in reference to Jack asking him about sticking to the threes. I mean, listen, I think the way this Celtics team has built their identity makes it a little bit different. I think they did prove that they have a backup plan, at least a little bit, where they started going inside. They ran the play to get Tatum the running start, to get the dunk. Jrue Holiday did a lot of stuff on the drive in the fourth quarter too. Like, there were more layers to their game just than shooting threes. But even then, like, all of the Hauser misses, like back to back to back to back, were brutal, but they stuck with it and it ended up paying off for them. So with this team in particular, I think that's the right way to look at it, even if at times you might think it's a little frustrating on the outside.
It is what it is. I think it's just an optics thing at that point. People like seeing layups, but they don't like seeing threes if they're missing. But the Celtics usually make them. Anyways, let us know your thoughts on this game in the comments. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe here on Spotify, or I say here, subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify and Apple, and I'll let Sam take it out.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening and watching. Make sure you subscribe, leave a like, comment, tell us what you thought. Celtics Nets, you have something to say. Make sure, like Jack mentioned, Spotify and Apple, we are there too. All pods and game recaps are in the feed for you. So if you just leave a follow, we would appreciate that. You can email us, hbtcpod@gmail.com is the address. We love to hear from you. Your emails are read every single podcast, so get them in, hbtcpod@gmail.com. The socials are at How About Them C's for Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Facebook's just the name of the pod. All streams are there. They're on YouTube. They're on Twitter. They're on Instagram now. Jack's Twitter's at JacksMonNBA. Mine's at Sam LaFrance NBA. That's it for us. Bye.